The suspect was not known to the New York Police Department. He was not on the radar of the FBI, so he raised no alarms when he rented this pickup truck, asking for the biggest model available, and drove it from New Jersey into Lower Manhattan to carry out the kind of attack that is so hard to guard against. 8 people were killed, and it could have been many more.
This is a scene that New Yorkers have dreaded for years, one that brings back the trauma of 9/11, one that shows how this city is vulnerable to new forms of terror. A rented pickup truck that became weaponized, a mode of attack that's common in Europe. But now it's been used to deadly effect on American soil, and just yards from Ground Zero, the site of the September the 11th attacks. The antenna on the New World Trade Center bathed in red, white and blue to honor the 8 people killed. This is the suspected attacker, Sayfullo Saipov, a 29-year-old who reportedly shouted, "Allahu Akbar, God is great," as he left his truck. He was brandishing fake weapons and was shot by the police and taken into custody. Moments earlier, he'd driven at high speed along a riverside bike path, targeting cyclists and pedestrians.
This was an attack on the United States of America, an attack on New York City, an attack on our people, and it was the definition of terrorism, an effort to take away people's hope and spirit and to make them change. And what New Yorkers showed already is we will not change.
Saipov is an Uzbek immigrant who came to the United States in 2010. He's believed to have been radicalized in America and told the police he was very pleased with the success of the attack.
One of the early clues that investigators found at the scene were handwritten notes in Arabic pledging allegiance to the group calling itself Islamic State. But there's no evidence yet of a direct link to that group.
You got kids in there? All right, hold on.
His attack came to an end when he crashed into a school bus.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, I need an ambulance right here.
That was an accident, the suspect has reportedly told investigators, because he wanted to continue down the road. Police found knives in his vehicle.
Oh my God.
Based on the investigation overnight, it appears that Mr. Saipov had been planning this for a number of weeks. He did this in the name of ISIS, and along with the other items recovered at the scene was some notes that further indicate that. He appears to have followed almost exactly to a T the instructions that ISIS has put out in its social media channels before, with instructions to their followers on how to carry out such an attack.
Among those killed, 5 friends from Argentina, men in their late 40s in New York to celebrate the 30th anniversary of their graduation from college. 2 Americans and a Belgian were also victims.
Our hearts break for them. And
President Trump has demanded tough justice and tighter immigration measures.
we need quick justice and we need strong justice, much quicker and much stronger than we have right now. Because what we have right now is a joke and it's a laughing stock. And no wonder so much of this stuff takes place.
In his hometown, this tower was erected in defiance of terror, a symbol of a resurgent city that refused after 9/11 to be cowed. And at the ground level this morning, that spirit was very much in evidence. Joggers following their normal routes. Even a cyclist berating a pedestrian for getting in her way, a scene that speaks of New York. The city has experienced much worse dawns than this, and waking up to the threat of terror has become part of daily life. Nick Bryant, BBC News, Manhattan.
Sayfullo Saipov remains under arrest in hospital after being shot by police. The 29-year-old arrived in America legally 7 years ago on a US visa program. The authorities say they believe he was radicalized after his arrival. He lived for a while in Florida, from where Rajini Vaidyanathan has sent this report.
A man police say showed no remorse. Sayfullo Saipov was said to have bragged about what he did for so-called Islamic State. Found in the truck he used as a weapon were papers saying IS will endure. Officials say he became radicalized in America. The 29-year-old arrived here from Uzbekistan through a green card lottery in 2010, settling in Cincinnati in the state of Ohio, where he got married. One man who knew him then believes he was exposed to extremist ideology online.
He always looked as, as a liberal Muslims or something like that, and he always saying, you're doing not right this one, or you're not doing this one like Islam does, and that was little very, very minor signs of radicalizing.
From Ohio, he moved to Florida, living at this apartment complex in Tampa. Neighbours say they remember seeing him by the pool with his wife and children, but that he wasn't particularly friendly. Although he was a practising Muslim, Saipov wasn't seen at mosques in the area. This lawyer, who speaks for the Islamic community in Tampa, says there may be a reason why.
We've worked with the FBI on a number of cases of trying to protect youth from being targeted by groups like ISIS. And the first tactic ISIS does is try to get them away from the mosques, because they know the messaging of the mosques undermine the deviant, extremist, heretical message of groups like ISIS.
One resident says Sayfullo Saipov and his family packed up from here earlier this year, and that before he left, he gave her his computer and printer, which she donated to charity. She also said that he told her he was moving to New Jersey. And it was in Patterson, a city with a large Muslim population, that he worked as an Uber driver. Close to here, he rented the truck he used in the attack. Sayfullo Saipov is still in hospital. The focus for authorities is how did an immigrant who wasn't on their radar commit a deadly terror attack in the country he made his home. Virginie Vaidyanathan, BBC News, Tampa, Florida.